And the Masters of the Universe.
1986, the announcement that He-Man and his Masters of the Universe friends would be coming to the big screen excited the young fans of the cartoon series and the toy line. To help build up hype for the film, Mattel introduced a contest. The winner would not only win a box of Masters of the Universe action figures, not only a trip to Disneyland, Universal Studios, and get to visit the Queen Mary, but they would also win a walk-on role in the new movie. What a dream come true for one Masters of the Universe fan. That lucky winner of the contest was 8-year-old Richard Sponder, who entered the contest thanks to an entry form at his local Toys R Us that his mom took him to just to enter the contest. Richard's parents was contacted over phone lines that he was the winner of the contest, but a lot of paperwork and agreements had to be signed off on before it became official. Once all the papers were signed, it was announced that he was the winner of the contest. However, the director of the Masters of the Universe movie had not found a way to work in an 8-year-old kid into the movie. Months went by, a few phone calls here and there with updates. They would set a date for a trip to send him to Los Angeles, only to have that date moved. It seemed it was never going to happen. But finally, the pushback stopped. Richard and his family found themselves in O'Hare Airport in Chicago, headed to the home of the Hollywood stars.
Can you show us the way?
Of course.
No.
In California, Richard and his family visited the set where he was shown his costume for the film, a costume that the studio would later send him and he still has today. Also on the set, a mold was taken of his face to make a mask for the character. This wasn't just a throw-on costume for a quick scene. As Richard told the Masters of the Universe Movie.com, it would take hours for the makeup artist to attach the mask and get everything ready. But he wasn't alone during this process. In the trailer, right next to him, getting fitted for his makeup and costume, was actor Billy Barty, who played Gwiller in the film. Billy Barty would tell Richard that it would take him 4 hours each day to get his costume ready. Waiting wasn't the only problem, as the adhesive used to attach the mask to his face left Richard feeling like his face was on fire for months. As for being on the now iconic movie set, Richard said his first thought was, it didn't look like Castle Grayskull, a feeling a lot of us kids would feel when we saw the film. He did get to meet most of the cast, even Family Ties co-star Courtney Cox, who Richard said he has no memory of meeting, but he does have pictures of the two together. As for an 8-year-old Master Universe fan, you can kind of see where he would be a lot more excited and remember meeting the memorable characters more so than a somewhat 20-year-old girl who no one really knew at the time. One of the first actors he met was Dolph Lundgren, who played He-Man, who Richard recalls being the most generous out of all the actors he would meet. He would go on to recall that Frank Langella, the actor that plays Skeletor, was also amazing to meet, and he got to meet him in his Skeletor costume. But who was the kindest person to meet on the set? Well, according to Richard, that was Megan Frost, who played the sexy siren Evil Lynn, who just happened to be Richard's favorite Master of the Universe character. Finally, the day came for Richard to film his scene. There he was in full costume, and he would hand Skeletor his staff. It would take a few shots to get the scene right, and Frank would give Richard some advice between takes. Overall, the family was in Los Angeles for 9 days, with much of that time spent on the set and working with a tutor that Richard said looked a lot like John Ritter. Due to legal requirements, he couldn't miss a week of school. It would only take him 1 day to film his scene, and then he was done. Soon Richard and his family were headed back home. Now it was time to see the movie, for Richard to see himself on the big screen. Mattel would purchase an entire block of seats at Richard's local movie theater so that he and his friends and family could have their own premiere. However, Richard's scene was so quick and fast, he admits that he missed even seeing it that night. But he was very excited to see his name at the end of the cast credits, and finally there he learned the name of the character he played, Pig Boy. According to Richard, the scene was to be longer, with Skeletor even shouting at him, "Leave now!" If the scene being cut in the film was bad, what happened to the TV edit was even worse, as the entire scene was cut out when it premiered on television. The movie came and gone, and it seemed people forgot about Pig Boy and the kid that brought him to life thanks to a contest. However, as the internet grew and the Masters of the Universe movie became more of a cult classic, his role in the film also grew, with Richard even having people to ask him for photos. But there's one thing Richard and us He-Man fans never got: an action figure based on Pig Boy. If there was ever a time to finally right this wrong, it's now. With the release of the classic action figures and He-Man figures more popular than ever, it's time for Mattel to finally give Richard and the fans a Pig Boy action figure. After all, they did give us a Pig Head action figure, but Richard and the fans, we deserve our Pig Boy action figure. So get on social media and tell Mattel we want our Pig Boy action figure and we want it now.
Masters of the Universe. Live the adventure.
Hey, Jumpman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.